If you see in your dream an old house crumbling on the dreamer, it means that dreamer will inherit something. The apartments of a house or rooms of an apartment symbolizes the dreamer's woman. If someone sweeping the floor of his home means deep worries or sudden death. A house being demolished means its owner will die. Buying a new house means plenty of welfare. One's house larger than usual means more well-being and fertility, and the dreamer will enjoy welfare through a woman. If someone sees in dream carving or decorating a house, quarrels and rivalry will take place in that house. If someone sees demolishing a new house, he might face evil and worries. Being in a new, unknown, plastered house is an isolated area, and hearing some evil talk, a reference to the dreamer's grave. Being kept prisoner in a house in a residential area whose doors are all locked, it means dreamer will have welfare and good health. If you see in dream there is a tunnel under such a house in the dream, it denotes deception or that a perfidious person is having access to that household. A house without lights in a dream represents a woman of evil character, and if a woman sees that house in her dream, then it represents a man of evil character. Demolishing one's house in a dream means a fight within the family. If one sees grass growing inside his house in a dream, it means a wedding. A bright, well-illuminated house means a polite and virtuous woman. A dark house means an ill-tempered and mean person. Entering a house sprinkled with water means trouble with a woman and worries such as there was humidity and mud, but which will disappear. If one sees himself tied up and imprisoned inside a house in a dream, it means that he or she will receive glad tidings, or it could mean good health and prosperity. If one sees himself carrying a house over his shoulders in a dream, it means that he takes care of a needy woman or a wife. If one sees his house made of gold in a dream, it means that a fire will burn it down. If the house has no roof, whereby one can see the skies, sun or moon in a dream, it represents the marriage of a woman from that household. If one sees a big house within his own house in a dream, it means that a righteous woman will live there or move into that family to become a blessing for such a house. If you see in dream you carrying a house, it means will sustain a woman. Reclining on a house, a woman will cater to the dreamer's livelihood. Entering a house and the doors getting locked behind will refrain from disobeying God in view of a verse. Getting out of a narrow house, worries will be left behind. A house without a roof wherefrom the dreamer could see the sun rising or the moon, a woman will get married therein. Seeing a tunnel under the house, a cunning man, especially if the tunnel was made of concrete or clay, in which case it would mean that the man's wickedness is the religious field. Entering a new house in an identified location among other houses with the complete amenities but whose owner is unknown. It could mean if dreamer is poor, will get rich. If dreamer is rich, will get more richer. If worried, will be relieved. If having disobeyed God, will repent. If the landlord is known, the dreamer will apply to him. The dream will apply to him. In case the house was made of concrete or clay, the dreamer's fortune will be blessed. Otherwise, if the house was made of bricks, which entered the fire, the gains would be illicit and sinful. The dimensions of a house, big or small, allude to the dreamer's condition, living comfortably or not, being generous or not, etc. The plastering of the house refers to the dreamer's religion. Its perfection or imperfection is the way he or she handles matters. Its finishing is his joy. As for the doors, lock, and handle, they symbolize the wife or the servant. The supports of the door are the male children, the slaves or servants, or the brothers and assistants. The keyhole is the dreamer's ear, meaning probably the house servant who reports everything to the master. The unknown house is the hereafter, especially if it has a revealing name, like the house of peace. A sick person seeing himself in an unknown house could mean that sick person might die peacefully. A healthy person seeing himself in an unknown house might go to a religious place, will engage in a good struggle, will become ascetic, will acquire learning, will endure hardships, will give alarms, building a new house. If ill, the dreamer will recover and become healthy. If there is sick person in the house, that person will recover unless the dreamer is in the habit or buying the dead, in habit of burying the dead in his house, in which case a new house would mean the tomb of that patient. The same bad interpretation would apply if the house was built in an impossible place, if it was painted in white, or if funeral flowers were seen in the dream. If a bachelor, the dreamer will get married. The dreamer will find a husband for his daughter and let her stay with him if the girl is old. An iron house, its owner will have a lot of prestige and will live long. If you see a house made of gold, fire will break out there. Coming out angry from one's house could mean we'll go to jail in view of entering the neighbor's house will become his confidant, or if the dreamer is immoral, he will betray the neighbor with his wife and in his livelihood. A bachelor building a house could mean will marry a high class woman. Seeing a house from afar, life will give the dreamer what he desires, but far away or after a long time. Entering one's house made of concrete or clay and situated amidst other buildings will make an honest living. Being ousted from a concrete house and feeling humiliated or diminished in any way will lose as much in life. Whatever happens to houses or apartment blocks in a dream applies to their dwellers in reality. The walls represent men and the ceilings women, as men uphold women. The corridor refers to an influential servant who can solve or complicate matters. A man's house symbolizes his person, his ego, his body, because it it's his address which is identified. Likewise, it alludes to his glory, his name and reputation, and his well-being. It could also refers to his money, which he relies or falls back upon, and his clothes as he puts them on. In case it represents his body, the gate or door of the house is the dreamer's face. It is easy to imagine what the components of a house refer to when the house alludes to the wife. Assuming that the house symbolizes his livelihood and money, the door is the source of that livelihood. When we compare the house to a man's clothes, the door is the edge of such clothes. A sound person building a house with concrete or clay in a place he knows could mean welfare and benefits. A sound person building a house with concrete or clay in an unknown place, the dreamer will do or has already done something for which he will be rewarded in the hereafter. If the house was built with bricks, gypsum, and lime, it would mean that a sin will be committed or that the dreamer has amassed a fortune through sin and will regret in the hereafter. Owing to the fact that fire plays a major role in the manufacturing of such constructing material, the dream would have a happy ending if the dreamer destroyed the house before waking up. A sick person or someone who has an ill relative or friend building a house could be in a tomb. A house of unknown construction material in an unknown location with unknown people, isolated from the rest. The hereafter, especially if dead persons the dreamer knows are seen in it, entering it means that the dreamer will die. Unless he comes out again, in which case it means that he will come near death but escape. The house gate or door is the father of the family. The motives and tenon symbolize the female and male sexual organs as they fit into each other. Locked together, they represent the husband embracing his wife. By extension, the motives and tenon could also refer to the couple's two children, a boy and a girl, or two brothers, or two persons sharing the same house. Cage or dwelling in a dream, one's house holds different meanings. One of them is a wife. If one sees himself entering his house in a dream, it means that he will get married or have sexual intercourse with his wife. Building one's own house in a dream means that a sick person will recover from his illness. If such construction is hard and if it is customary in that family to bury its dead within the compound of the same property, then it means that the death of a sick person in the family. If no one is sick in that house and the construction is accompanied with music and celebrations in the dream, then it means adversities, trials, and hardships. If under such circumstance the person in the dream is unmarried, it means marriage, and if he is married, it means that he will marry off one of his daughters. The sweeping of one's own house meant that poverty is in store for him. The sweeping out of another house means he will acquire much wealth from the owner of that house. If a person sees himself owning a house, knowing to him, it suggests that he will acquire worldly gains proportionate to their spaciousness, attractiveness, and elegance of such a house. Sitting on the rooftop of a glass house in a dream means marriage to a beautiful woman from a noble family and who may die soon after her wedding. A house garden in a dream also represents one's private devotion, fasting, piety, fear of wrongdoing, celebrating God's praises, and exalting His holiness. A house garden in a dream also could mean a marriage within the family. Insanity on the part of that house dwellers paying a financial penalty, or it could mean an imposition. Looking from a kind of small window in old houses, that's called kova, I guess. The dreamer is in the habit of contemplating his wife's vagina or ass. Seeing a large private apartment made of clay or concrete in one's home that was not there before, a good woman will enter the house. If the apartment is plastered or made of bricks or obscene, an hypocritical woman will appear. A dead person entering the home of a sick person, either a dreamer, either his sickness will prolong or he will die.